Scooby-Doo Apocalypse. I call it Scooby-Doo Apocalypse even though it's called Scooby Apocalypse, is an ongoing series that explores a unique take on the Scooby-Doo lore. What if the world actually ended, monsters are real, and Velma is partially to blame for it? I know I just kind of recapped the entire intro to the storyline, but you can check all of that out in our playlist and enjoy the next part of that story. In our last video, Scoob and the gang made their way to Seattle in hopes of finding Velma's brother Rufus. Though they were successful in finding his penthouse, there was a swarm of monsters gathering in the streets. Everyone made it inside of the building, but Velma's twisted brother greeted him with his rifle the second he opened his door. It's only been a night since everyone made their way to his penthouse, and as Shaggy looks out into the streets, he sees the monsters have only grown in size. While keeping watch, Rufus's wife Daisy comes in and tells him that he is awake now and would like to speak with them. Shaggy walks back in from the balcony stating that he can't say that he's looking forward to this. And as Shaggy heads into the next room, Rufus shouts asking, "Are you the one that hit me?" And Shaggy tells him, "No, it was our fearless leader, Daphne." Rufus yells, "There is no way a woman is capable of overpowering Rufus T. Dinkley." And Shaggy tells him, "Sorry to demolish your personal mythology, but she did." Rufus says, "Fine then, let's get down to business. Why are you here and why haven't you been mutated by the nanite plague?" Shaggy tells him, "Slow down a second. If you want answers, you better talk to your sister." Shaggy then yells, calling for Velma, and Daphne yells back, stating that they'll be right there. While Daphne finishes cleaning the cut on Velma's head, she says that she's really dreading this. And Daphne says, "Well, you need to get over yourself. We came a long way looking for your brother to find out what he knows about the catastrophe that the complex unleashed." Velma yells Rufus shot at her. If she wasn't knocked out of the way, she'd be dead. And Daphne begins putting on the bandage, stating, yeah, I guess I've gotten used to you," in an odd and uncomfortable way. Velma sighs as she puts on her glasses, and as she walks out, Rufus says, well, if it isn't my beloved sister. The genius, which I use very loosely, is responsible for all of this." Velma tells him that she'll take responsibility for her own part. But while Velma speaks with Rufus, Fred sits in the mystery machine wondering when everyone's coming back. He's still injured. Just then his phone begins to ring and he grabs it asking, "Who's there?" Shaggy asks, "Who the hell else would be calling you? And why are you whispering into your phone?" Fred tells him there's a large group moving around me and towards the tower. This thing's taken a major turn for the weird. The monsters have built some kind of effigy in the shape of Velma's brother. Shaggy looks out and sees a woven figure and says that it means that they gotta get out of here fast. He hangs up telling Velma that she better wrap this up. They gotta go now! Rufus tells them that they've only just arrived. Allow him to have Daisy cook them a lovely dinner, and Velma shouts, stating that they didn't come for dinner. They came here to find a way to fix the mess that they've created. They overrode her program so that they could control the populace. Their tampering somehow amplified the nanites' capacity for independent thought. Rufus says that her goal was an idealistic one, wanting to uplift humanity, bring forth the golden age. But man is savage, ignorant, and the animals need to be controlled. That is why we've altered the nanites' programming. However, as for this monster plague, I am in the dark about it as much as you. If anyone can help solve this mystery, it'd be you. So right after dinner, we're gonna head down to the lab and pick up where my scientists left off." Daphne asks, how close were they to the cure? And Rufus laughs, telling her, "Oh no, I wasn't interested in a cure. I was interested in becoming the master of those creatures." Velma smacks the glass from Rufus's hand, telling him that he's crazy. And he goes on stating, "And you are woefully naive. You see a disaster, I see an opportunity. And sadly, our poor brother Hugo broke under that strain." Velma asks, is he? And Rufus tells her, "Oh yes, dead by his own hand. Imagine that. But together, the two of us can rise up. Allow me to do what our father should have done and bring you to greatness." Velma asks, "Do you really mean that? Me at your side?" And Rufus tells her, "Of course!" And Velma walks out thinking about it. She looks at the doctor that Rufus killed and the laptop with her brother Hugo on it, and then closes the laptop. As she walks back out and whacks Rufus in the groin with the laptop, she jumps on top of him, beating, shouting, "You are a sick and twisted son of a..." Daphne tackles Velma, but while the fighting continues, Shaggy yells, "Yoinks! We gotta leave! In the next few moments, we're gonna be up to our noses in monsters!" Velma says, "Wait, if they're coming up, how are we getting down?" And Daisy tells them that it's okay. Rufus has a security system in place that they could never get past. Rufus leans up, telling them that that would be true if I hadn't turned off the system this morning. Velma asks, "Why would you do that?" And Rufus yells, "Because I want them to come. They worship me. They will come kill you all in my name." While everyone begins to argue with Rufus, Daisy says that she knows what they can do. Rufus has had a secret escape route built into this tower. Daphne gives Rufus one last kick while Daisy tells everyone that the passage is through this bookcase. Rufus yells to Daisy that she can't leave him. He made her. She's nothing without him. Now come with me. Daisy stops and then walks over and slaps him, telling him that she may have once been his pet, but never again. As Daisy hits the switch for the bookcase, Shaggy calls Fred, telling him to hurry around and pick them up. As everyone runs down the stairway, the monsters begin coming up into the penthouse, and Rufus shouts to them that they must obey him. However, as Velma looks back, it would appear that they're not listening. Once everyone gets loaded up in the mystery machine, Daisy tells them to wait. Did Rufus manage to get away? Velma looks back at the effigy the monsters placed Rufus in, on fire, and says no, not a chance in hell. After getting out of the city and into Waterville, the gang stops to get things ready before they finally move out. Shaggy sees Daisy standing there and he asks if everything is okay. She tells him that she's not sure. It feels like she just awoke from a bad dream. Even without the nanite plague, the last few years with her husband have been a nightmare. He transformed into a monster, just not like those creatures. Shaggy tells her that it's okay. Rufus is gone and she'll be safe with them. She asks if she's really safe. The entire world is a nightmare now. Maybe she's better off with the cocktail of antidepressants and sedatives that Rufus is force-feeding her. Shaggy says that she can't really mean that, and Daisy sighs, stating that she doesn't know what she means. She appreciates what they've done for her, though. Shaggy stops her, stating that she just has to have some faith in God and in Velma. With Velma and Daphne going back and forth, Fred steps out asking if what he's hearing about a possible hive mind is accurate. Velma says that it's just a theory that she has, but the lack of monster sightings in the recent days have been the result of a mass migration. Something is uniting the creatures. Scooby turns back and barks, "Rignal, wallowing in the Rignal!" Velma kneels down, stating, of course, a canine's auroral facilities are far more advanced compared to their own. Scooby can perceive the frequencies that they can't hear. She then asks what he's hearing, and Scooby barks, "Royce!" And Fred says that he's pretty sure that he means voice. Daphne asks who could be doing the summoning, and Velma says that there's only one way to find out. They have to go and see what's controlling these creatures. Daphne then says that as much as she hates to admit this, Velma's right. Everyone back to the mystery machine. A short while later, on an overpass above a swarm of monsters, Shaggy says that this was a terrible idea, and Velma tells him that he's absolutely right. They shouldn't be up here. They should be down there observing the creature's behavior from close range. Shaggy yells that that is not what he meant, and Velma asks him if he's so terrified, why did he volunteer to come? Is he trying to impress Daisy? Shaggy tells her, "What? No! Okay, maybe a little. I'm not sure what it is, but the second I laid my eyes on her..." Velma finishes, "You lost your mind? While I admit that Daisy is attractive and presents a somewhat classic damsel in distress, you really shouldn't even bother. She's not even your type." Velma then says that this isn't working, and she jumps onto the ledge shouting to the monsters. Shaggy shouts, "Knock it off!" But Velma tells him that it's just as she thought, no reaction. Shaggy then says, "Just when I thought things couldn't get any weirder." A little while later, as Shaggy and Velma return, Daphne asks, "So?" And Velma tells her, "They're fine, thank you for asking." Daphne then says that she knows they're fine, they would have heard the screams of agony otherwise. While Velma and Daphne get back to work on the computer, Velma realizes something. The back roads that they took actually allowed them to get ahead of the monsters, but they're not coming this way. They're all taking the exit about a half mile back into a wooded area. Shaggy asks, "Wait, you're not planning on following them into the woods, right?" After watching so many horror movies, I can honestly say that we shouldn't follow them. Velma then hops down off the roof of the van, and Fred says that he has to agree with Shaggy on this one. It's a bad idea. Besides, the mystery machine will get stuck. Velma tells him, which is why they're going to proceed on foot. Volunteers only, of course, with her being first. Shaggy asks, when did she become so fearless? And Velma yells, she's terrified, but also responsible for this. Those creatures wouldn't exist if not for her. Now she intends to fix this mess or die trying, preferably not the latter, so who's with her? A short while later, Shaggy says they shouldn't have let them go. But up ahead, Daphne, Velma, and Scooby all sneak through the forest, keeping a close eye on the monsters. Velma tells Daphne that there is one thing that she would like to tell her, something that she needs her to know. She needs to know how much they all mean to her. Daphne says she gets it. She can only say that she's proud to have her as a friend, but don't tell anyone she said that, or she will take her out. Just as the three begin to move out, there's someone in the shadows watching them. Another dog. As the three move up, Scooby begins sniffing the air, and Velma says that she has a feeling that they're being watched. Daphne tells her, whenever someone says it's like we're being watched, all of a sudden, that's when a voice yells, "The big bad monster attacks!" Scooby hears the voice and yells, "Ruh-oh!" The dog from before, wearing some of the same smart dog tech that Velma mentioned before, leaps out. And he says, "Ruh-oh! Elegant as ever, aren't you, Scoobertole, pal?" Velma says that these dogs, she remembers them from the smart dog program. The dog then asks, "You do remember me? I know I've changed since the last time that we saw each other, but I was kind of hoping that you would recognize your old pal, Scrappy-Dappy-Doo!" Velma asks if it's really him, and Scrappy goes on telling her, "You used to play with me and rub my belly, but that's all changed since they put the implants in. After that, I was just another experiment. But I'm not here to open up old wounds." Daphne raises her gun asking, "Then what is it?" And Scrappy tells her, "This doesn't concern you. It's between me, the doc, and the half-wit Dane." Velma tells Daphne not to hurt him, but Scrappy inches closer and says, "I'm fast, Red. So fast that I could have my teeth on your throat before you even pulled the trigger." Before she could finish, Scooby lunges at Scrappy, taking him down, and Daphne grabs Velma, telling her to run. Scrappy knocks Scooby off of him, shouting to the other dogs to handle Scooby. "Make sure not to kill him, though. Scooby-Doo is mine." Daphne and Velma begin to navigate through the monsters, but as Scrappy gets closer, Daphne begins shooting at them, trying to hit Scrappy. Scrappy jumps, evading the shots, yelling to give him Dinkley or she'll die. And Daphne goes back to shooting, and as she runs out of ammo, Scrappy tells her, "Looks like you're out. There isn't a scratch on me. Looks like I win this one." And as the monsters start to swarm around, Daphne tells him to enjoy the victory, because it isn't going to last long. There you go, more cliffhangers with Scooby Apocalypse. We're doing this one in shorter videos like we do with Power Rangers because simply put, some of you like it, some of you don't, but spending like 20 hours on a 30-minute video is a lot of time spent on a video that may or may not perform, but we are trying to find a way to bring you some of these fun, different stories in comic books like Scooby Apocalypse, the Animosity storyline, and even the storyline of Power Rangers, which I am a huge fan of. I hope you guys enjoyed this. Don't forget to subscribe to get something new and unique every Sunday, and you can find me on Twitter at Comicstorian.